Your source for the latest local and national news that can impact you if you are in the market for real estate. Here are your hosts, the Kingwood mortgage guy, Mike Durr, who uses his 25 years as a mortgage professional to help people improve their credit, and Joe Salas, an accomplished home inspector, real estate agent, and trainer of new agents for Byrd Property International. Together, they will help you understand what you need to know to get the most out of your real estate investment. Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Let's do it, man.
I spent about an hour trying to fix that real estate thing today, and I was gonna see if you noticed it, but it wasn't any different. I was like, "What the heck?"
I like it. It's like a fingerprint. No.
An ugly finger, like a purple paint fingerprint or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we get those too.
So, what were you doing today?
You know what? I was in Huntsville, the New Waverly area. I went to go visit my uncle and my aunt up there. They own. It used to be around 200 acres. I think they've sold a couple parcels off of it, but they have a nice sized ranch up there. I just went to hang out for a little bit in the rain. I wanted to do a little fishing because they have a stock pond out there, but it was just too wet.
Yeah, it's wet out there. That's up in my neck of the woods, though. That's Huntsville, not too far from Livingston, and we get to hang out up there. As a matter of fact, we normally go straight up 59 because we're right here. And I went up 45. No, I came back 45. I had to do kind of a loop, and I drove through Huntsville, and I was impressed. I mean, it's pretty up there.
Oh, yeah. 190? You took 190 over? Is that what it was?
Well, no, I went up 59, and then when I was coming home, I had to do something on the west side. So I came down 45. So I drove.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, it was 190 through.
190 through, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 190 runs right through, I think, New Waverly, if I'm not mistaken. But it's pretty country up there. There's lots of rolling hills, and there's no lakes, so to speak. But the Lake Conroe, once you start getting a little bit further down, not like Lake Livingston.
Yeah, that's called Lake Livingston. Yeah, I get that. That's cool. Okie dokie. Well, the stuff we're talking about today is really about current events, and the biggest thing that is out there. What this should say, and I don't know why it drops that down, but it's the title of this particular session is War in the Middle East and How It Affects Real Estate. And I will give a disclaimer or right now is I'm not happy about the effect that this is going to have on real estate. I like to think that I'm an optimist, and I'm good to be optimistic about this. And I will show you how or what I'm talking about. So before I get started, I want to thank everybody that has come, and I want to welcome you. I want to encourage you to watch the show. If you like us, let us know. We'd love to hear your comments, and we'd love for you to subscribe and or even like us. So anyway, that being said, Joe and I were going to get started here. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about a bond market surge and what that means to interest rates. We're going to talk about why I believe oil prices will increase, inflation concerns that will be ignited, rates will stay higher longer. That is hard for me to say that, but I've been saying rates are going to go lower for so long, and they just haven't. I'm thinking I'm taking a different tack, and maybe it'll do just the opposite of what I say. So rates will go down, even though I'm saying they're going to stay higher longer. There's logic there somewhere. Brief relief on inflation or mortgage rates. Housing as an industry, I'm going to again be a pessimist and say I think it will suffer. Home sales will decline over the course of the next year. So I don't like it, but this stuff going on over here on the right side is not good for real estate, or as we like to say on our jingle, real estate. So again, you'll see my number and Joe's number down here at the bottom of the scrolling thing. Obviously, we'd love for you to call us anytime you have questions. So here's the deal. The bond market surged, and it surged based on the fact that, well, I'm going to get ahead of myself. First off, bond market. Nobody knows what the bond market is. Most people don't, but the bond market is made up primarily, not primarily, there are a lot of bonds out there, but there's a specific one that's related to mortgage interest rates, and it's a mortgage-backed security. And so I spelled out the definition of that. Mortgage-backed securities are tradable investment vehicles made of groups of mortgages that offer interest payments similar to bonds. They are considered a safe, low-risk investment. So the reason I'm saying that is that is what the daily evolution of rates comes from, is how bonds are traded on the secondary market. And that I'll go next because I think the next slide will explain this. Well, maybe not. Bond market surge on war news. So here's what's been going on. This is, I think, probably the end of the end of August, and then September. You can see consistently down until this is like the 26th, I think, or 27th of September. It stayed even for a while, and then this last weekend, or they don't trade on the weekends, but you can see that things started to move back up again. Well, first off, the downturn was just brutal. I mean, rates went from in the low sevens to the high sevens. And I mean, it's just, you see these little, I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty small, but they're little purple lock buttons. And this is when the guy that runs this website and tracks these bonds tells us, oh, good time to lock there. Oh, if you didn't lock then, lock here. Oh, you didn't lock yesterday, lock there. You know, wow. These were lock alerts to us. And it was like lock, because it keeps getting worse. When it's going up, we're floating. This is interest rates are getting better. And this chart was taken this morning. So things have gotten better here. They got a lot better yesterday. And then, as of, I actually believe they broke past this line. Each one of these lines down here are lines of support, or their formations where they also create a boundary. And it's hard to get past some of them sometimes. Some of them are called a Fibonacci line, if you've heard that term.
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's one that we talk about. And so anyway, that is the key thing about bonds is they're considered a safe investment. And when people have a pile of money, I'm talking about big, giant investors, and could be insurance companies are a good example because they hold a lot of premiums. And the way they make money is they make money first off on not paying premium or not paying
claims.
But they also invest the money, and they toggle between the stock market and the bond market. And when good news is happening, where do you think it goes?
Stock market.
It goes to the stock market. That's right. There's good news. People are buying stocks. They're enjoying. They're investing. Well, when things turn south, when there's particularly global events, they turn to the bond market. And when money's going into the bond market, that's when they rise, and that's when rates get lower. So it's almost an opposite of, when things are down, rates are up, and when things are up, rates are down. So I know it's a little complicated, but I think it's important to explain that. And then will war in Israel affect oil prices? Well, this is my concern. So I hate to even say it's good news, but rates rose because of the bad news. I consider this a global trauma, and when you have a war that's been done like this, and it's a bad thing. I mean, there's nobody out there that thinks this is anything. I say there may be, but I don't think there's anything good about people killing each other, and I'm going to stand by that.
Never.
But interest rates will get better, and I think there's going to be a short window during this initial part of this war where the bond market will get better, and it might be a time for somebody to take advantage of it. That's the reason I bring it up. It's not like you're taking advantage of anybody. You're taking advantage of the times. But a broad conflict in the area could significantly curtail worldwide oil supply and send prices soaring. The research firm added, and the research firm in this case was S&P Global Commodity Insights. Experts say the newly declared war in Israel could impact oil and gas prices at the American pumps. Now, the thing that Joe and I talk about consistently is supply and demand. And anytime you're curtailing worldwide oil supply, that is going to cause the prices to increase for oil, for gas. And and I put this little picture here because this is why I believe it's going to affect. Of course, Israel's not a oil producer, but Saudi Arabia is, Iraq is, Kuwait is, Iran is, and the UAE, Arab Republic, or whatever it is. They are all big oil distributors, sellers. They refine a lot of oil there. A lot of it comes from there. Now, it's not necessarily going to be the end of the world, and it'll probably balance out. And who knows how long this war will go? It could be a short, but if it is of any length, it's going to be a problem for us. Rising oil prices affects inflation, and not sure why this is kind of blued out, but I'm going to read it anyway. Oil rallies on Middle East, and I think it's whatever it is, the bullish case for oil.
Let's see. Bullish case for oil is still
compelling.
Still compelling. The first one was oil rallies on Middle East tension.
Yeah.
The third one is this is no time for celebrating. The oil rally is just getting started.
Right.
The fourth one says oil prices pull back a bit on reduced fears of supply disruptions. And then the fifth one says U.S. could crack down on Iran oil shipments after Israel attacks, lifting crude prices.
So thank you, Joe, for reading that. I know that's not easy, and I'm not even sure why. You know what? It's funny. I've got a computer right here that's got all that on there that looks perfect. So go figure. It's the internet. What can I say? But thank you for reading that. But the bottom line is that's a pretty good indication that the market is in belief that oil prices are going to go up. And what else goes up with oil prices?
Everything.
When I say everything, I mean everything. It is a factor in everything. And the biggest one is this truck here, right? I mean, transportation, just driving in your car, going anywhere, you're going to use gas. But the trucks are probably the big one because that's how most of goods are delivered. They're on 18-wheelers going all over the country. And if you haven't been up and down the highway and seen a bazillion 18-wheelers carrying loads of whatever, could be pipe, could be materials, could be, how about UPS or how about FedEx or all those guys? And if it's not being done there, it's being flown. If it's not being there, it's on the train. If it's not there, it's on the ship. I mean, oil right now, as much as people that are doing electronic stuff want that to take over, it's just not, it's not a big factor right now in transportation and deliveries and commodities.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the reasons I think that this could be bad, particularly if it's an extended war. Now, it's possible that it'll wrap up fast, and that's our prayer and our hope that happens. If so, this could be a positive thing, but well, I'm going to refrain from it. It's not a positive thing anyway, but rates going lower could be. I'm just worried about it. What do you think?
I think it's just a blip. It's one of those things that's driven by a current event. I think once it subsides to a certain degree, we'll end up back where we were prior to. I don't necessarily see it affecting it long term as far as the war. Oil prices, Israel and Gaza, they're not oil producing countries, but each side is partnered with or in cahoots, some may say, with other oil producing countries.
I love that word. Not many people use cahoots, but that's a great word.
Yeah. So yeah, it could affect it long term. And if that happens, then yes, I do think that, as you were saying, it may have a positive effect on mortgage rates, but to be seen. I hope and pray that this little conflict over there, or big conflict, I guess, is over soon. It's killing people and human life is more precious than ideology or whatever you believe in. We should all respect each other and respect each other's lives. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It can have an effect on what we're seeing, and it did today, right? We were talking about that before we came on. I saw just an article in passing as I was doing my things today, that interest rates shot down pretty well.
Well, they stopped going up, and I've got them at the back end of this presentation. It wasn't a huge difference, but it sure was good to stop going up, and they're at least not in the eights. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. So Rachel, this is all me saying this. Rates will stay higher longer, and that's again me hoping that it's the opposite of what I say. But when the central bank increases interest rates, borrowing becomes more expensive. In this environment, both consumers and businesses might think twice about taking out loans for major purchases or investment. And this slows down spending, typically lowering overall demand and hopefully reducing inflation. So this is the Fed's premise about raising interest rates, all in this little three-part little, I guess if you wanted to call them small paragraphs. They want to make it painful to buy stuff, so you won't buy stuff, so that the prices go down. That's what this strategy is, and it's working for the housing industry, realtors, mortgage people, anybody involved in home building. Well, maybe not the builders. I don't know. But anyway, it's a tough one, and hopefully it doesn't last forever. So bad news causes the rates to go down. This is kind of what I explained a minute ago. Bond market is considered a safe investment. Global disasters scare investors. And when I say global disasters, it could be something like this Israel Hamas thing. It could be a tsunami in Japan. It could be huge storms, some part, or floods or earthquakes. All of those things kind of are the same type of thing that cause investors to go, oh my gosh, this is going to cause. But pandemic was a perfect example of something that was a global disaster. The guys that have the money, which I said before, investment money, flows between the stock market and the bonds, and they basically toggle on and off. Toggle off. Good news, stock market. Bad news, put it in bonds. That's kind of the two major options. There may be others, but those are big ones. Investors choose bonds when negative global events happen. When bonds are purchased, mortgage rates go down. And we've laughed about how when there's bad news, it's good news a lot of times. This kind of is beyond that, and I'm not even sure I want to think about that. So the big picture from my standpoint, housing will suffer. I think interest rates may dip briefly, be a good opportunity. Definitely a window of opportunity for anybody that's thinking about buying right now. I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm convinced if there's any link in this, and home prices will go up, causing inflation to follow it. You can't make goods less expensive when you're paying more to get them to the store, right? Inflation causes interest rates to move up. This will make buying homes more expensive, and more expensive houses slows real estate. And I hope this cut is wrong, but I'm worried about it. Joe?
Just keep on trucking, man. That's all we can do is just put one foot in front of the other, right?
Do the best we can. That's right.
That's it.
Well, I did it again. Oh, and this is the back half of this part of the presentation, and this is where we talked about last week about how to make the cost of buying a little bit less with the interest rate, real estate taxes, homeowners insurance. I'm going to go past that because we talked about that last week. If you want to see that, it's obviously you can go back and look at our show from last week. It's on YouTube and Facebook. And that's another part of it. How do you reduce the real estate taxes? How do you get the best homeowners insurance? I think those are important. That's my standard claim. This is what I was getting to. Yep. Mortgage rates today. 30-year fixed rate with a 740 FICO score, 7.5%. 15, 7%. Jumbo, 7.5. ARM products, they're not even registering on the board right now. 30-year fixed on an FHA, 7%, but a half point better than the conventional. And the VA 30-year for 740 is 7.125. So not, I look like they're about a quarter better than they were last week at this time.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. You can't complain about that, really. Although they're probably not going to stay low very long, I don't think.
Well, I wish I knew the answer to that.
I wish we knew, right?
I wish we knew. That is true. So anything you have to add to any of that? I'm sorry to be such a downer today.
No, it's all good, man. I think part of what we're experiencing right now is kind of what we talk about offline. It's just respecting each other, and even though we have differing opinions, being able to come together and just realize that we're all part of the same blue ball traveling in the middle of the universe, right? And if we can remember that, hopefully we can be a little bit more respectful to each other and definitely to human life. But I always appreciate being here, man. You make me feel alive every time we talk about this stuff. I love real estate. I love helping people, and I know you do too. So I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate that, Joe. I appreciate you coming too. All right, my friends, we'll listen again. If you had any interest, obviously we'd love for you to contact us. Joe's got his email down there, and phone number should be in the scrolling bar there. We'd love for you to subscribe. We'd love for you to comment. And if you like us, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next week. All right.
See ya.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.